Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that's literally right over your head, but is probably out of mind until it's a huge problem. I'm talking about your roof. In the next few minutes, we're going to turn you from a homeowner who's just kind of worried about leaks into a seriously informed expert. Let's get right into it.
So let's start with this big question, because your roof isn't just some shingles nailed to wood. No, it's a whole system. And the things you don't know about it, well, they can hide some nasty secrets that are quietly getting worse and could end up costing you thousands down the road. So really, what is it hiding?
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the unique battles your roof is fighting every single day. Then we're going to turn you into a detective so you can spot the early warning signs of trouble. After that, we'll walk through what a real professional job looks like, untangle all that confusing fine print, and finally, arm you with the tools to protect your biggest investment.
Okay, let's jump into section 1, your roof's unique challenges. You've got to understand this. Every single location tells a completely different weather story. I mean, a roof in Arizona has a totally different job to do than one in Maine, right?
Now, these examples here are from the Texas Hill Country, but the idea is exactly the same everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's heavy snow, salty ocean air, or just that relentless sun, your local climate is your roof's #1 enemy. You have to know what you're up against. Let's just zoom in on one of those threats for a second. Heat. Can you believe that in some parts of the country, the surface of a roof can hit 160 degrees? 160. That kind of extreme temperature literally bakes the life right out of your shingles, making them brittle and old way before their time.
And what about wind? You might hear a roofer throw around a term like wind zone 3. It sounds super technical, right? But it's actually pretty simple. It's just a building code that tells contractors, hey, the winds here are serious, so you need to use stronger methods, like using 6 nails per shingle instead of the standard 4. Knowing your zone is a huge piece of the puzzle.
So here's the bottom line. It's not just about buying the most expensive materials. A truly great roof, one that lasts, is one that's installed with methods specifically designed for your local climate. That right there is the secret to longevity.
All right, let's switch gears to section 2, decoding common roof problems. Knowing the threats is step 1. Now, we're going to turn you into our roof detective so you can spot the earliest warning signs of trouble before they get out of hand.
So if you ever look up at your roof and see shingles that are curling up at the edges, or they look like they have little blisters on them, that is a major, major red flag. It's a clear sign of heat damage and that they're just getting old. They've lost their flexibility, and they're on a one-way street to cracking and failing.
Next time you're cleaning out your gutters, take a look at what's in there. If you see a bunch of stuff that looks like coarse black sand, ding, 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 those are the protective granules from your shingles. Think of those granules as your roof's sunscreen. Once they're gone, the shingle is exposed, and UV rays can start to tear it apart fast.
And this one, oh boy, this is the warning sign you never, ever want to see. A water stain on your ceiling means the problem is no longer on your roof, it's in your house. The leak has already made its way through the roofing, the decking, and your insulation. At this point, it's not about prevention anymore. You're in full-on damage control mode. So what's causing all these issues? Well, a lot of the time, it's the stuff you can't even see. Little shortcuts, like poor attic ventilation traps heat and basically cooks your shingles from the inside out. Or not using enough nails means a strong wind can just peel them right off. And failed flashing, that's the metal stripping around chimneys and vents, that's one of the top causes of leaks, period. Okay, enough of the problems, right? Let's talk about the solutions. Welcome to Section 3, the professional roofing process. Think of this as your blueprint for a top-quality job. Look, any roofer who's worth their salt is going to follow this clear 3-step process. This isn't just a nice suggestion, it's the gold standard. Assessment, installation, and completion. If a contractor you're talking to wants to skip a step or gets vague about one of them, that's your cue to run. And that first step, assessment and planning, is absolutely critical. A real pro won't just glance at your roof and throw a number at you. No way. They're going to get up there, take pictures, document everything, maybe even check your attic, and then give you a super detailed written plan. Transparency from day 1 is everything. No surprises. Okay, on to Section 4. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, insurance, codes, and warranties. This is the fine print that really empowers you and protects you as a homeowner. When you're choosing a material, it's pretty much a classic trade-off. Asphalt shingles, they've got a lower upfront cost, for sure, but they also have a much shorter lifespan. Metal, on the other hand, costs more to start, but it can literally last a lifetime, especially if you live somewhere with harsh weather.
The key is to think about the long-term value, not just that initial price tag.
And remember those building codes we talked about? They aren't just annoying rules a contractor has to follow. They are the absolute legal minimum standard for safety. A good contractor meets the code. A great contractor sees the code as the starting line, not the finish line, and they'll often exceed it to give you a much better roof.
And finally, warranties. Okay, listen up because this is so important. There are two kinds, and you need both. The manufacturer warranty covers the actual shingles if they're defective. But the workmanship warranty, that covers the roofer if they make a mistake during the installation. One without the other leaves a huge gap in your protection. You absolutely have to get both in writing. All right, let's bring it all home with our final section, protecting your biggest investment. We're going to distill everything we've talked about into a few key takeaways you can use right away.
Here it is. This is your new expert checklist. Know your local climate. Learn how to spot trouble early. Demand a totally transparent process from any contractor you talk to. Get those warranty protections locked down in writing. And please, choose materials for the long term, not just because it's the lowest bid. This is how you really protect your home.
I want to leave you with this one last thought, and it's a big one. Being proactive with your roof, doing regular inspections, handling small repairs, it will always cost a tiny fraction of what it costs to clean up a catastrophic mess after a major failure in the middle of a storm. So the final question I want you to ask yourself is this: is your roof built for a 10-year life or a 30-year life? Because the answer isn't just in the materials you buy, it's in the knowledge you now have to make sure it's done right. Thanks for joining me.